Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite convention-related podcast, Con Job. This week, Dylan and I are joined by Tony Santiago as we do a review of San Antonio Spacecon, which took place October 25th through the 27th in San Antonio. Enjoy. Without further ado, we have a wonderful guest back for another go. Mr. Tony Santiago, Mr. Dylan West, how you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good.
Is that a new backdrop I see behind you, Tony?
It is. I'm working on some new things for 2025 to kind of change my look a little bit. Always trying to keep it fresh.
I love your physical diagrams as opposed,
I'm
all on the computer, but like you got a full, you should just put that on display at your booth.
Yeah. You're like it's like a diorama. So is it like a mold, or is it like in Wedding Crashers when he said I once built Wrigley Field to scale out of the balloons?
Listen, don't make it any sadder than it is. I do know, like when I go to Dick's Sporting Goods and they have the big tents setups, but on the top shelf they have the small versions of those tents. I'm always like, how do I get those small versions of those tents? Where do I get this stuff?
Got a pet squirrel that needs to go camping with you?
So I don't know. It's my inner child. I get to play with my setup there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard you're good playing with yourself, so that's good. Let's move on. So here we're going to be doing a review of San Antonio Spacecon, which was October 25th through the 27th in, you guessed it, San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
So you both were in attendance. We had somebody there, but let's I don't know. Let's start where we start, unless you guys have anything you want to jump in with up front.
I just want to say it was nice. I finally got to meet Tony in person.
Yeah.
We did the pod a couple months ago, but we were basically neighbors. So all throughout the weekend, we were just hopping over and chatting. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, likewise. It was very cool. Very cool.
I live 5 hours away, quote unquote. So I was going to get there Thursday, set up, have an easy breezy Friday. But my 5 hours with some car accident or something ended up turning into like 7 hours. And then so I had to set up Friday morning, which no big deal. But, I would have just left later if I didn't realize I was going to get there late anyway. And then where were you from? Did you drive or did you fly, Tony?
No, I flew in. Yeah, I'm out of Chicago, so
You're
it's
5 hours away too, right, Tony?
Yeah, exactly.
Through air.
In a much less comfortable seat, I'm sure. It was it's like 3 hours. Like it's like a 3-hour flight. I don't know. You guys normally like to talk about like how the load-in works and that sort of thing. Because of the previous San Antonio show in June, I kind of got a better handle of the logistics there. And this time around, I decided to rent a car, which I never do at these shows. But I rented a car because I don't know if Ryan, have you done this show? Have you been there?
No, I've been to San Antonio, but not this show. The last time I was there, I want to say it was like 2017 or 18. We did it at the Spurs Arena.
Yeah, well, this area
It was a rodeo.
And yeah, Dylan, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's nothing there. So, and it's not like there's an arena there where the Spurs play, but this expo is behind it. And
oh yes, okay.
And it's like gated off. So when you go for like Uber rides, it's like there's nowhere to stand for an Uber guy to come find you. They have to know how to get in, and they don't have access to all the entrances. So it's like a gated area back there. So it's kind of a pain. So I just decided to rent a car and be able to get myself in and out of there a lot easier. And that it actually worked out. And logistically, it's a very easy show to do when you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
To be able to pull up right there, there's no elevator, there's no stairs. You're not going, all the way down a long hallway or anything. It's right there. So you pull up right to one of the doors and you're setting up right away. It's very easy. And it's a small floor. So there's not hundreds of vendors piling in. There's no loading dock that you have to wait in line for. You just pull up and go in. And so logistically, it's really nice.
Yeah, this is an easy load in, and I wish every show did what this show does, and they have a designated free vendor lot for you to park in. And
Yes.
man, I just wish that was the industry standard. But yeah, you just
Hmm.
pull right up to the show, unload, and then just drive up to the. I mean, it's actually kind of an awkward walk, but it's not too far. But you park there for free, and then boom, there you go. So
Yeah,
um,
it's nothing. It's they do. Yeah, everything logistically is done correct. We just needed more people to be to show up.
To logistically show up.
Right.
So
Maybe it's
because
not as
I
easy for everybody else.
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
it is a
So then
rodeo.
let's
It
get into
really
that.
is the rodeo area.
Was the rodeo going on during the weekend?
I don't know
Okay,
if there are any
I'm
other
calling it a
events.
rodeo, but I mean it's like a stockyard. It's
Mhm.
like there's buildings surrounding where we were vending, that's made for cattle, and made for
Right.
events that involve cattle, and so just setting the scene for like where this is at. It's not at a what you would say a traditional convention center.
Not at
Okay.
all. And it's and they changed it since last year. So the last year's show, that superhero show that I went to and did so well at, was all in the room that we were in the building that we were in. And then the June show and this show, the Spacecon, they used the second building.
And the earlier show, is it the same company that ran this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ace.
So did you guys notice, since you did them both, because we think, yeah, we did them both too. Did you notice any people that were like, oh, I saw you in June, or like, oh, I already have that. I bought that last time. Like a lot of the overlap, you see that? Because sometimes, when
I
they
got a
run,
little bit of that.
Hmm.
sometimes when shows run, I generally don't like to do a show in the same spot twice, especially that close. But from
Right.
what I heard, this one was going to be way better, which in hindsight it was. But I just, I'm always leery about when they have two like kind of close, and it's this, especially the same company, you're going to get, the same people in that area, generally speaking. So that's why I think it kind of hurts. But
Well, I know we talk about this all the time, but we were also in San Antonio just 2 weeks prior at Big Texas Comic Con. So now that wasn't at that exact different company, different location, but still San Antonio. And yeah, so three in a matter of 4 months. Two of
yeah.
them
Yeah.
in the same month.
So did you
Um,
notice any big hits? Like,
it's crazy until you ask this, like how when I go, if I travel or if I go, like I'm like, oh, I've completely forgot about this customer, but I like know so many of these customers. Like, yeah, they do
Right.
come back, and
Right. Right.
so that's why it's always so important to change up your setup and have something new every six
right,
months. Easier said than done, of course.
right. Unless you have the thing behind Tony, then you can do that every day.
Yeah. I mean, that for me, there was some of that, like what you're saying, like, hey, I saw you in June, and I got this, I got that. I kind of My expectations were a little bit different for this one, only because I knew it was such a genre specific show, which I normally stay away from. I've done a few horror shows in the past, and it's been my experience, unless you have the content designed to really hit that audience specifically, it's going to be a challenge. And I don't have a bunch of Star Wars or Star Trek or all of the guests that were there. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people were asking me for Stargate stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I've never seen that show. Like, what is that? And they're like, well, they're all here. I know that now. And like, but I
and they'll
wasn't
never
gonna.
be anywhere else again. So
Exactly. I wasn't gonna create content or any kind of artwork to satisfy that audience, knowing it's only that show.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of knew what I was getting into, and it was more. I did it more for the just to secure be in good standing with these guys, so I can kind of hold my spot because I have a really good location on that show floor.
no, he
Um,
has the best location on. He has the
And then
coveted
for this show
location.
too, Tony, because I know the last one when we talked, you said you have the primo spot.
yeah, it's the same spot.
It is
It's the
okay,
same
okay. And it's
spot.
the same
So
layout, I'm assuming.
it's the exact same layout.
Yeah, okay.
But the the issue is, like I was saying before, they took a few of the celebrity names and put them in the other building.
Mm-hmm.
And so they
It
take
kills the flow.
it. Yeah, like they split the energy up. And I
Yeah.
hate when shows do this. It's like, why don't you keep the energy in the room? Like,
Yeah.
why are all of the attractions upstairs or over there or in that other building? Like, what are you doing? Keep it in the room.
Yep.
And you could feel it when it's not in there. And then you get people coming back and say, oh my gosh, we were in that other room for the last 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, that doesn't sound too good.
Yeah, like I just feel like any of these shows, and I know it's not always easy, but I just feel like anytime they can do it, if they have the one room and the space, they need to put the celebrities in the back and everybody in the entrance on the complete opposite side, so they have to walk through artists and vendors and whatever whatever layout you want to make, but they have to go through everybody to get there.
This particular show, it'll never work that way, because when you walk in the front door, to the left is the dedicated room for the celebrities and autographs, and it's a big room, and I'm right there, so that's why it's a nice spot for me. So they're not going to be able to set it up the way you're saying, which I agree should be the case, but they probably overbooked in terms of the number of people there, so they had to put a couple of the bigger names in the other room, and that's what kept people in. There.
Overbooked the celebrities, or overbooked the artists and vendors?
I mean, no, it's a strong celebrity. It's one of the strong celebrity.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know
companies.
They had some big names,
but they weren't those. I think only Brolin was in our building, but I didn't see him. But the Star Wars people like Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson,
wasn't Obi-Wan
McGregor? Yeah, McGregor was there. Yeah, they were in that other room, and a lot of the people that were, I had many people coming to me. He's like, oh, we were in that room for however many hours.
Yeah.
The room that we're in, that building is not so big with so many vendors. It's almost like, you don't really necessarily need to go in there if you're tired of being there after 5 hours of waiting in line.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see someone going, you know what, let's just head out. We've seen what's in there already. Let's head out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that spend hours just sitting in that line, and then it's just like, I gotta go, because I
just want to
talk to people where they specifically like, hey, I'll be back. I'm just going to get this one autograph, and then like the next day, I couldn't do it. I was there.
Yeah. Exactly.
There was one show there where Mike Tyson was there, and they just sat in that line, and they're just like, I can't do this anymore. So that's why, again, I think have them in the back, or like we've said a gazillion times, they can figure out a way to do some kind of lightning lane where it's like, hey, come back between 1 and 2 for your autograph. Well,
the previous 2 shows, the superhero shows, this Spacecon was not affiliated with Ace.
Oh,
and
Ace, really have those names.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Ace does do what you're saying. So when Ace is there, when Ace is there, they only manage the celebrities and the lines. They have nothing to do with anything other part of the show. And people are in line for 20 minutes, and they move them along. And
it's fantastic.
Just know how to do it. They know how to do it.
I got like 5 autographs on the back of that cape at that superhero car show, and they said be here at this time. I was there and I was out, so like I can attest to that.
And I mean, I don't know what they do different than other companies, but for whatever reason they haven't figured out, and these other people, these other companies have a hard time with it.
They should go and experience it just to see if they can mimic it, because if we could get that to be the industry standard, I swear to God, it would make such a difference. But you also run into, which we've also talked about in the show, is these celebrities. Like I've been in some of the green rooms with them, and like you'll be back there and you'll be talking to them or whatever, and their handler will be like, hey, there's we got a little bit of line, and they'll be like, oh, how many are out there? There's like 10 people. He's like, let's just wait till it's a little longer. Like they don't want to go out if there's 10 people. It's like, really, dude, just go sign those 10 people, because when they see you, they'll come. If there's nobody at the table, they're less likely to stand there unless they just, oh my God, I got to get first in line. You know what I mean? Like, so I could see the point, but I guess if they know going in, hey, I have 4,000 signatures today,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's 3,000 from 10 to 12 or it's 100 an hour. You know what I mean? Whatever. That the math doesn't work out, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't envy these celebrities at all. Like having to deal with all that.
Well,
It
I
doesn't.
mean, it woe is me, right? Hey, I'm a
I get
guaranteed
it. I get
10,
it. But
20, 50 grand. And everybody that shows my boots can be
I
like, oh
get
my
it.
God, you're the greatest. You know,
We
like,
cry and hug you.
yeah, exactly.
But
Like,
I think the reality is there's pros and cons for everybody in that equation, right? So trying to figure it all out and keep it running as smoothly as possible to keep everyone happy.
oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
apparently, on the priority list of keeping happy, we're at the bottom of it.
Of
So,
course. Of course.
so they don't look at layouts and they don't take us into consideration. So, it is what it is. But going back to your point of, you would wonder why some of these showrunners don't look at what Ace is doing and kind of mimic that. Ace was with them for the last two shows, so they were right there with a first, a first-hand look at what Ace is doing and how to run these
No, I just
autograph
mean
lines.
other companies like have Fan Expo show up or Reed Pop show up and just kind of see it and go, oh, maybe God forbid you take a note.
I'm
You know, I
sure
mean, how
it
many
has
people at
something.
MegaCon just sit in the line for,
Yeah,
literally the entire day?
I'm sure it has to have something to do with how many tickets are being sold and offered, and then they just
Yeah,
cap it.
I'm sure.
And if you're MegaCon, if you're Fan Expo, like you're not going to cap the number of tickets you can sell. I mean, that's it's too much money coming in.
Agreed. And they got they got to pay for that hall. It's ginormous.
Absolutely.
We got to pay for that hall.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the days then. So, let's start with Friday. And I'm just assuming based on what you said, at the beginning, is that it wasn't very heavily attended.
I Friday was okay if I remember. I mean, it had a decent Friday. It was a better than normal Friday energy. I think Friday was okay. It wasn't killer.
It wasn't a gangbang.
It was not that.
Okay.
But shout out to Reese. But it was.
I don't like using my daughter and that term in the same sentence.
I'm not the one that said it. I'm not the one.
You said her name.
Stop trying to make that
she
happen.
She said it, and she's the okay. Anyway, let's not get into that. But yeah, I thought it was just kind of like a solid Friday for me, anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, a lot of comparisons.
Sorry, Dylan, just real quick. Looking at our numbers, it was a good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with other Good Fridays, but but no, it was a good day. So again, we weren't there in person, so I'm just looking for, like, as far as people go, was it, was it the standard? Oh, I'll be here all 3 days, so I'm just looking around today. Was it a lot of that, or was it a good mix?
I would say it was a strong Friday. I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons to June's superhero comic and car show, and we were slightly up over that Friday. So like kind of knew what I was getting into coming to this venue, to this show, these celebrities, and so good Friday.
Did you personally do the other one too, Dylan?
Yes. And I've done that many years in a row. So this is like the fourth time I've vended at this hall, like with this company.
Okay. So then, I guess, anything else to say about Friday before we move on?
For me, it was pretty typical. So, I mean, I didn't, but it wasn't the kind of Friday where it gave me any indication of what the rest of the weekend was going to look like. It was neither here nor there. It's like, okay, it's Friday, but it was okay. I mean, I wasn't complaining. I wasn't over the moon about it, but it was fine.
Yeah, it's standard. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So then let's go to Saturday.
Which, with these shows, we got the big guests coming in. I think Hayden Christensen, maybe Ewan. Yeah, we had a pretty. I had a pretty good Saturday. I keep saying we, but this one I just worked by myself. This is right at the cusp where I would sometimes have two people work it, but I did it just by myself and was happy to do so. And yeah, it was a really strong Saturday, and it did about double what Saturday did at June's, where Friday was just slightly better. But we basically doubled our June sales at Superhero.
Yeah, my Saturday was. I mean, it was fine. It was I probably would consider it to be a little disappointing. If I'm comparing it to the superhero show in June, um, that show was a lot stronger for me.
Wasn't that other one a 4-day?
Yes, I'll get into that
Yes.
too. But yeah, so we're not even dealing with a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the June show for me was stronger. It just was. It was more in my wheelhouse in terms of what I have to offer for customers with the artwork. But this one, I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't. It didn't meet expectations. I was hoping, but again, it's like I didn't have the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I did a show early on. Before I started doing all these Comic Cons, I would do the Chicago Blackhawks fan conventions, and
It must have been empty.
It was back when Taze and Kane were coming up, so the Hawks were winning. So it was actually a fun time. You know, I'll let that slide. But I remember doing those shows, and I had some of the Blackhawks stuff, but I also had Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears stuff. And I remember kids would come by like, "Hey, Dad, check it out! It's Derrick Rose, it's Michael Jordan," and they would say, "We're not here for that. We're here for Blackhawks."
Oh.
And I got the same vibe at this show, where it's like, "Oh, look at all this Marvel! It's really cool. We're not here for that. Do you have any Stargate?"
You didn't get any Chicago Sky stuff?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. But that's the vibe I got with this show, where they were really here for the Star Wars, and Star Trek stuff.
I feel like anytime you get those big names like that, you're going to get a lot of,
I did have those names. I had the big names.
Right,
I have it,
but
Josh Brolin and Dawson.
the Stargate ones, like you said.
Yeah, my setup doesn't appeal visually to that interest. Like my stuff looks like Marvel and different TV shows and movies and stuff.
And Brolin, he was the hand guy, the glove guy that snapped.
Thanos.
Right?
Yes.
Glove guy.
Sorry, you know me with my Marvel. He was also in Goonies. I do remember him from Goonies.
Yeah, nobody asked me if I had any Goonies stuff.
Or how about American Gangster? No, he was an American Gangster. He was the crooked cop.
Okay,
yeah, but anyway,
we're going
deep
cut now. Deep cut.
Yeah, sorry. He was the purple guy. The purple guy in Marvel. That's how I remember him.
I gotta almost, in my experience, I'm kind of flipped. Out of the 144 designs we bring, we have 5 Star Wars, and they just weren't really pushing. I want to say our success was almost geared towards, and we do this at a lot of shows, we almost lean the opposite of the theme. Now, if we have it, we'll still put them on display. But like, I think sometimes if we go to an anime show and we have nothing but video game stuff out, that's our strength. And in this one, the Star Wars stuff I have is all original trilogy, so it's not like I even had any prequel prints to connect. And so we didn't even really show off our Star Wars stuff, even though this is like Spacecon, the Star Wars show. And that's just kind of been the direction we lean. We almost lean against it.
Yeah, but I could see that with like the video game stuff, any anime stuff. If you have a lot of anime stuff at a superhero show, that stuff seems to be extremely popular right now. Like the video game content, like I have yet to tap that market. Like I don't have any of that stuff, and it's crushing. It's crushing right now.
Let's see.
All right, so then we can move into Sunday, because I have some comments on that, but I want to save that for a later time. No, just the anime. Like I feel like, just real quick, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I feel like, I don't know, the last 4 years, it went from 0 to 60 like instantly. Mm-hmm. Like there was like it was a couple whatever the popular ones, and then it was like all of a sudden it's like boom, everywhere you look, it's all anime.
It's taken hold. It's taken hold, and
yeah. But it really went from 0 to 10 on the meter, like I feel like in a 2-month period. It was so quick.
Yeah, and I don't know that world. It's not stuff that I consume, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. And
if I didn't have it, I wouldn't either.
and a lot of the artwork that I see, in my opinion, it kind of all looks the same. So it's even hard in that world to differentiate yourself from other artists. So I don't even know how it works. But guys are doing it, and they're killing it.
Yeah. We know a few that are doing well, but yeah, they're everywhere, like you said, and there are
Mhm.
it's hard to differentiate. I feel it really
Yeah.
is. But
Well, Meg's got some of that, and her stuff looks really good. I mean, it kind of falls into her style really
It's
nicely.
yeah, well, because I feel like majority of the ones you're going to see out there are digital, and like you said,
Yes.
it all kind of looks the same. Because
I feel like
I'm
they
not
kind
an
of just
artist,
use the
so
exact same art from
well,
the
and I don't
show,
want
and
other artists to get mad at me for saying this, but I feel like it's I don't know how much different stuff you can do in digital. I know you can do colors and shades
Hmm.
and all that stuff, but I feel like there's only so much you can do with some of that stuff. And with hers, it's literally hand painted watercolor, so she can it's a little bit different because we see other people that do watercolor or hand painted stuff that do anime, and it looks different than the digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So
digital tools. I know we're not getting into this too deep, but digital tools do. You if you can get good enough to mimic traditional a traditional look pretty closely.
okay,
But no matter what, no matter how good somebody is digitally, the one thing Meg will always be able to say is, "I painted this using watercolors," and
there's that
that's
feeling attached to it, and that's what they
yeah,
want. That's why they put it on their
and
wall.
that's right.
gotcha,
So that's something that's always going to separate herself, regardless of how good the digital stuff looks.
gotcha. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So I'll make sure I tell her that, and I didn't pay you for it either.
What, she
Yeah,
doesn't listen to the pod?
I don't
she
know if
doesn't listen to him. He's not going to say anything that we say
heard my
nice to her.
voice. She doesn't want to hear me. She's just sometimes like, just shut the hell up already.
Starting to figure out where all these black eyes are coming from.
Hey, I've only had one. Okay, jeez. But
All right.
I did
Sunday.
get choked unconscious the other day. That was my first
All
time.
right.
I'm very excited about that. My first time. So
We're not okay. I'm not making any comments. Come on, we're keeping it clean here.
okay, yeah. So let's move to Sunday.
Okay.
Had a strong Sunday. Right in trend with what most things are. It was right in between my Friday and my Saturday, which is always for the like 95% of the time what to expect. So I was happy with
Yeah.
that. Even though I drove there, I was like, I don't want to take some of these things home, and so that last hour I'm wheeling and dealing, and I had a really easy teardown because I just did not want to pack it up, even though, as we already said, it was a very easy load in and out. I was just like, hey,
He was like,
let's
take it.
go mentality.
Give me $5. You can have it. Our Sunday was actually less than our Friday. So I was not happy about that. But I mean, I guess as far as you guys Tony, you can maybe help out because I don't know what it looked like as far as people goes because I'm trying to look at the Sunday from the June one. Yeah, we beat that one, but that Sunday was really bad too. So
Well,
kind of strange.
after Saturday, there were certain. I'm looking at my numbers, and there was a certain number I needed on Sunday to make this like, okay, this is a good show, and this is worth my time, and the rest of it. And so I was really optimistic coming into Sunday because I'm like, that number is not hard to hit on a Sunday. And yeah, no, turns out that number was really hard to hit, and it just was not. It didn't work out for me the way I wanted it to. I mean, the show still ended up good. It wasn't great. I guess that's really where I'm at. It's like I'm looking for great shows rather than good.
Right.
And
that's how we are. Like we did 140 something shows this year, and I'm not going to do that many next year. Obviously, we're going to narrow it down, but this
right. I'm not taking losses, but I want to win big. You want to
exactly.
And
exactly. I don't want to make $200 on the weekend.
No, everything's our expenses are not going down. So
right.
And it's hard for me to raise my prices to meet some of those expenses. So I kind of need to keep up with some of the volume that I normally do. And a show like this, it didn't have that. That wasn't part of the equation for me, was the volume. So Sunday was just, okay, I guess this is what it's going to turn into. And you could see it right away. Like for me, I was like, oh, an hour into this show, I'm into Sunday. It's like, oh, this is not going to bounce back. There is no big wave of traffic getting ready to come in here. So it just was, I just wanted to kind of get out of there and move on.
Now, when you say that, do you think because this is a question, because I feel this. There's a lot of other artists that do this, or vendors.
Mm-hmm.
When you are just like we talked about it at Get Canada, it's like I don't want to be in a bad mood because it's going to come out.
Yes,
Customer and nobody.
for sure.
So do you? That's a real thing, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like it is, and I've had people like, no way, they don't. They're just there to buy stuff. They could care less.
No, ask you how's it going. Your day is going great, and that's what you tell them, and that's how.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to manufacture nice. So when
we know,
so if I have this look on my face, like people, you just need to just keep moving, or either buy or move. Like, I'm not interested. I don't care who would win in that fight. Like, just keep it moving. Like, I'm so tired of answering the same questions on Sunday, especially. It's like, did I draw these? How long does it take? What's my favorite one? It's like, listen, just, are you buying?
Put the money in, and here's the print. Just making this new soup for you.
I mean, I've had my wife many times say, you need to take a walk, because whatever you're putting out into the universe, it's not good.
Coming back negative.
So it is a real thing. If it's hard. It's challenging to be able to be in a good spirits when things just aren't working out that well. Now for this show, I kind of leaned into it like, okay, I just accepted it right away. I think I told
that's the best way to go.
I think I told Dylan, I went through like however many stages of grief really fast. Like in the first 2 hours on Sunday, I mean, I went through that whole I got to acceptance really fast, and I just kind of moved on, and I was much happier after that.
Yeah, that's it. You did it on the plane. Just so you're like, well, I'm here. You landed. That way you got there. Like, this is great. San Antonio. Get some good Mexican food. Move on.
You get to a point where it's like, okay, this is exactly what it is, and it's and I'm constantly I'm somebody who's always looking in the mirror about if something's going wrong, like what is happening. I'm looking at my setup. I'm looking at my artwork.
Yeah.
Those are the only things I can control.
Yeah.
But when you come to a realization, it's like, but this isn't really. I'm not watching everybody around me having this, great show. I mean, I would turn to, Dylan was right behind me over my shoulder, and I would look back, and he, Dylan, you've got that setup where you can kind of keep people there engaged, and they're kind of looking around. You got things to look at on the table, and you're running the games with them, and it's really engaging. It's much more interactive. I don't have that.
Did you want to pull the battery on that mystery box?
I didn't really know everything I was doing. I was like, what is all this? Where did you get all these bottle caps? I was enthralled by everything. Like, what is all of this? And I can only imagine if I was there as a customer, like, wow, this is really cool stuff. It's like a bunch of stuff to look at, and Dylan's making sure that people walk away with stuff. I'm sure you get a lot of people coming back.
Yeah, like I if people on Friday, I make them walk away with something. And I mean, if they never come back, I'm out 45 cents, but it's my gamble in that they're walking away happy. They're coming back. And hey, they do come back and they have that thing, like, so I'm the kind of salesman that I personally hate. Like, I would be like, stop talking at me. But literally, I got a stick, and I'm like, oh, well, we got this thing over here, but also this, and I'm doing all this, and the people eat it up. And literally, sometimes in my head, I'm like, oh my God, shut up. But I'm like, that's what they want, and it works. So.
But that show floor specifically is very small. So there's no one else like you there. Everyone else was selling either artwork like myself or posters or, the figurines or whatever. So I would imagine that a booth like yours would do very well on a small show floor, because you stand out really nicely. And to be able to say, oh, if somebody goes on that Friday and says, well, they go home and like, whoa, check out this postcard or this bottle cap, whatever it is you gave them. Like, where did I get that? They'll come back. They'll remember, because it's not that big of a show floor. They'll find you right away. It's not like MegaCon where it's like, I can't remember where I got this thing, So, but in this show, and I just didn't have that. I don't have anything to really to to play that game. So if they like my stuff, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And there's only so far I can go beyond that.
All right.
See, overall, another one thing I'll account to my successes, because I've done 4. I personally worked 4, and the company's worked 5 shows with this company. First time we were in that other hall you were talking about, then we were in the arcade section, and then we were off to the side. And so little by little, I've been getting closer to your prime spots. And so I feel like you've been at the prime spot, so you basically, or you've been there for a while, where I'm like chasing that better like traffic, and so that's why I feel like each year I'm happier, because I'm like, yeah, I was in the boondocks and now I'm a little bit better, and now I'm by the action. So maybe that's something I can compare my increase.
Where you are is a really nice spot too. Years ago, pre-pandemic, I did that show, and I was in that other room where all the artists are, and it just wasn't that room. I don't know. I mean, they put a stage back there, so I don't know if they're. I mean, that's an attraction back there, but I don't know how many people that I've talked to, artists that I've talked to, have raved about being in that room. And it's always a weird. I find it's an interesting dynamic, because this room is not big. You would think that everybody's spot would be great. Like there shouldn't be one spot better than others, but there are. And I don't know how it works. I don't know how the setup flow like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just some spots better than others. But I don't know, Dylan, this is on your calendar moving forward, both shows?
That's what I was going to say.
Show?
It's also local again. Yeah, I can drive there, and I'm back Sunday night. You know, I'm only gone 2 days. I hope Superhero Comic and Car, I can always forget, is a 3-day show again. But yeah, I like this show. I like the celebrity vibe. It's easy. Yeah, I feel like I always know what I'm getting into, and I'm going to try to say, hey, I want my exact same spot for both shows where I had at Spacecon. So that's where I'd like. And you know, some shows with smaller thresholds, I'm like, oh, we did so good. We did them out where I want to have 2 booths. But like you said, this is a small show, and I think a second booth would be a terrible idea, because it's so small. You'd just be like, am I seeing double?
The whole room.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary.
Okay, I have a closing thought on this show. This is also the week after New York, so you know everybody's off of some sort of high of New York, and now you're doing this show. So there also is, I feel like, a kind of a vibe of that. It's like last week, you know.
But you're talking about from a vendor standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay,
from a vendor standpoint,
they're like across the whole country. So okay.
Yeah, but you know, you did New York last week. You know, you probably had great numbers, at least, and then now you're doing this Texas show. The San Antonio show. But I'll tell you, for me, expectations sets everything. I was telling this to Tony. We did obviously so much better in New York, but I had this almost unrealistic expectation for it, and it wasn't met. And so I was kind of like about New York, even though it was amazing. I did not have these expectations for Spacecon, and they were exceeded. And so I feel like I'm feeling higher off of Spacecon than New York, which whenever I think about it is just bonkers. It's like, no, New York is the show to be excited about. But my expectations were here, and so I exceeded them, and I was happy.
Right. If I did New York numbers at Spacecon, I mean, this would have been, it would have been unbelievable. And I had it down in New York. I did not have what New York is one of those shows where you only compare it to itself. I don't compare New York to Motor City or Salt Lake. And compared to previous New York shows, it was not good for me. You know, it was down. But it would have been a great Motor City show, or it would have been a great Spacecon number. But so I was counting on New York I kind of knew going in, my expectations were where they were for Spacecon. Like, okay, this one's going to be a little bit of I might take a little bit of a hit here because I just don't have the content. But I was counting on New York to have, like, Dylan, what you're talking about, like that high of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to ride this right into San Antonio and get out of there. It's all good. And that just didn't happen. So that makes the Spacecon hit a little bit harder. Like, because it wasn't going to make up that feeling that I was hoping to have from New York. But New York is way more of a calorie burn. I mean, this was a plane ride and an easy, I get a rental car. San Antonio's airport is small, so I'm used to dealing with O'Hare, where it's just like a mile between everything.
Yeah.
San Antonio was really easy to navigate, so it wasn't. I wasn't tired from it. New York just makes you tired, and you just walk away like, geez.
Yeah, it's definitely exhausting.
You work all that time, for Ryan, it's like you do all that batting practice so you can get a bunt in an infield base hit or something. Like, it's like, come on.
Which was my
You
specialty.
want the home run, right?
You've heard of the Punch and Judy, right? Well, they when I played, they called it the Punch and Withy. I would just roll over one in the hole between short and third and leg it out.
Like all that batting practice, I can't get it out of the infield.
Hey, as long as I'm on first, batting average goes up. Well, most of the time. And then I was good. I could steal, like a steal basis.
But we at least want to hit it off the wall. I mean, so
yeah,
you
it happened every now and again. But usually the pitcher's mistake, not my something. He left it up in the zone.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do the superhero show in June next year. But I
don't know if you know what. I think we'll try this one again, but not the June one, especially a 4-day one. But we'll try this one more time because I feel like we said earlier, like doing two. Maybe I can combine. I'd love to combine the two shows together monetarily, and it'd be great.
Yeah. We are. Well, there's no guarantee that the June one's going to go back. Is going to stay 4 days. I haven't heard anything about it.
Because it was 3 days last year.
It was 3 days last year, 4 days this year. So maybe they'll go back to 3. But yeah, it's one of those. I don't know if it's worth the effort to. I don't know if that community supports. Again, like you said, there was another show, the Big Texas. Like that's 3 shows in, a few months. It's not. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel like all 3 of them are gonna kill.
Oh, and that's just San Antonio. I keep saying how we've done so many Houston shows, and I got a Houston show in 2 weeks. Like that's like 5 Houston shows in 3 months.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's just not too far away from San Antonio too. There is some overlap in those customers.
My nightmare scenario is I'm going to do the June show in 2025, and it's going to be solid. I'm like, okay, I'm coming back to this show, but I'm not doing Spacecon, so I don't do Spacecon, and it's fine. I'll live, and then I come back for the following June show, and Pixel Empire is set up in my spot.
Yes.
Right there, and Dylan with that smile that he's wearing right now is going to just be looking at me. That's it.
You see, we used to be over there, but now we're over here.
Yeah, making all those noises or whatever the hell he does, and I'm just going to be way back wherever Ryan was, where Reese was, all the way in the back where it was getting rained on, and it's just like, why? What is happening? That's my nightmare scenario. That's why I keep doing shows like I come back just so I can keep that spot. Like, why? How have I worked myself into where my real estate is so important? Like, I will bend over backwards and just take it just so I can hold on to that damn spot. It's so sad.
It's a life. It's a tangled web we weave, isn't it?
It is. It is.
All right. Well, I guess Tony, you will be back then at this one.
I'll be back for sure in June.
June, okay.
For the superhero. That one I will be back for. And Spacecon is TBD. I know that Bob said they're doing it again, so they were happy with it. They were very happy with whatever numbers that those guys look for and feedback that they look for. So he said they're going to do it again.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it all depends on how superhero goes.
Right.
But I know Ace is not involved with them anymore.
Okay.
So, do you think that means the same level of celebrity, like caliber of celebrities will be there?
No, I don't. Well, I think Ace brings the big ones. I mean, you could get 1 or 2, I think, but Ace can get you 5 or 6,
Yeah, Ace brings in good celebrities, but they also bring in good, they know how to manage it. So these guys, the Spacecon celebrity list was really good. I mean, there's no doubt about the star power they had. They just, they had people in
Stargate
line
power.
forever. They had Stargate power.
Yeah.
They had some Star Wars power, but it was good. And at any other show, you'd be like, wow, these are big names.
Yeah.
But I don't think they manage it as efficiently as Ace does. So we'll see what they bring in for the superhero show. But yeah, Ace is not involved with them anymore. And that was a big reason why I wanted to stick with them. So we'll see.
All right. Well, Dylan, we know you'll be back because it's close. So
yeah, you have to do it. If if it's
you got to get Tony's spot. If you don't, how else do you get?
Exactly.
All right. Well, any closing comments, thoughts?
I mean, it sounds like we'll both be back, asterisk, but not really
I
about
think
the show.
Dylan's in because you have to be in. I'm undecided on another Spacecon, but I'm definitely in. I'll definitely see you there in June.
Well, what about you, Ryan? Are you guys?
We wouldn't. I don't think we'll be back to. Well, we'll be back to this one, but not the June one.
Gotcha. So
this one was better than.
There's only like a small Venn diagram section where all three of us had the same experience between both shows. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, have either of you spoken to any other vendors or artists that crushed it?
I haven't for this show. No. You
How
were
about
the
the other
only
one?
two that I spoke to about this one. I talked to one at the last one that said that they always do really well at that show, but I don't know if they do both. I wonder if they only do one in San Antonio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So I didn't ask that.
The guy across from me, he's like across from me and over to my right. He's my neighbor at this show every year as well. He sells like framed autographs, like framed pictures where he frames them really nice. And there's even a couple of drawings in there that he frames and gets them autographed. He was killing it all weekend. I mean, his booth was packed with people all weekend long. And so I'm sure he did very well. But it's stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe it just wasn't an artwork audience where they were into it.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and call it here then. And Tony, I know you commented on it earlier that nobody could hear, but I'll try to wear socks the next time we have a show. Okay, just to keep you happy.
I'm not saying anything behind the scenes anymore. Okay, good.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Talk to you guys soon.
See you later.